Right, good morning. How's everyone doing this morning? Great. Well, I will go ahead and call to order our staff senate monthly meeting for March 2023. And we will begin with roll call. Senator Basham is with us on Zoom.
Present.
Regent Brinkley. I don't believe he's with us yet. I am here. Senator Kanzler. Present. Senator Cato.
Present.
Senator Crowe.
Present.
Senator Daniels.
Present.
Senator Gilbert.
Present.
Senator Hopwood.
Yes, sir.
Senator Inglis cannot be with us today. Senator Johnson.
Present.
Regent Brinkley. Present. Senator Moran.
Present.
Senator Pritchard.
Present.
Senator Purdy.
Present.
Senator Robertson.
Present.
Senator Salmon.
Present.
Senator Thomas. Senator Vanderpool.
Present.
Senator Vincent.
Present.
Senator Waller.
Present.
Awesome. Next, we will move to the approval of the agenda for today's meeting. I'd like to approve that by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, we'll consider that to be approved. Likewise, I'd like to approve the prior monthly meeting minutes. Unless there are any objections, I'd like to do that by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Great, we will consider those to be approved. Next, we will move on to our Christopher Ware Staff Star Reports. Senator Vincent.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. This is one of the most favorite part of our meetings is getting ready to honor the staff members. We'll go ahead and start. Our first Christopher Ware Staff Star Award goes to Andrew Ratch. Andrew is the Associate Director for Student Activities. Unfortunately, his nominator could not be here today, but we have two of Andrew's coworkers that are going to come up and speak on his behalf.
Hello, everyone. We are not under the call, but we asked us to be here today, so half day we're going to say so this is coming from. I'd like to be on the record that although Andrew did nominate me for the Staff Star Award, I did nominate him before I knew he nominated me. In fact, in January when I received an email letting me know that Andrew had nominated me, I thought there was a mistake and that it was actually supposed to go to Andrew. This story speaks to the supportive working relationship that exists with Andrew in the workplace. He's supportive while also still trusting his colleagues to do their jobs. Andrew's a hard worker and brings lots of laughter to the student activities office. He can generate conversations with students, ranging from baseball cards to the latest low-level humor movie. I've jokingly told Andrew that he reminds me of my dad because they dress similarly. But for more serious news, Andrew is always helpful for programs and events, running through a checklist of things that one has to remember when planning large teams.
He also continues to make improvements to longstanding programs and events each year. One program that Andrew has planned and executed over the past 2 years is the Inter-Council Collaboration event for the holidays. The past 2 years, he has partnered with Parker Bennett Elementary School and recruited WKU Greek organizations from all councils to sponsor holiday gifts for the students in our local elementary school. This event models what we want WKU students to learn: collaboration, people skills, and our responsibility to a larger community. I wish I could be here today to deliver this message myself, but I know that John and Natalie also have major respect for Andrew as well. And I'm glad that the staff student will be able to hear the perspective of our graduate students. I'd like to end this by offering a few of my favorite Andrew Ratch quotes. If everyone does a little, no one does a lot. And that's my one good deed for the year. Andrew says this about once a week. So I've admired his ability to jump in, doing good deeds and favors for friends and colleagues in the WKU community. Thanks and good times.
Okay. Our next Christopher Ware Staff Star Award goes to Tony Woodson. He's a supervisor over shipping and receiving. This is from his nominator. We recently needed help moving a large pump from one building to the location where it needed to be. Tony came over to help with very little notice. He brought a truck, a pallet jack, and was able to get it moved for us. This may be just one example of what Tony has done. I've worked with Tony for many years, and shipping and receiving it's part of the university. I'm sure we've all used his services. So in addition to his nomination, Tony's supervisor had the following words to say. Tony truly is the heartbeat of shipping and receiving and is a large part of why our department and whole building feel like a family. He makes work feel like home, ensures everyone around him feels valued, and helps us remember the important things. The past 4 years have been particularly challenging for Tony. He has lost loved ones very close to him, was hospitalized for COVID, and then displaced by the effects of 2021's tornadoes. I know just one of these would throw many others off balance, but he hasn't skipped a beat. And despite his own challenges, he is always focusing on others. Simply put, his integrity, character, and faith are stronger than any challenge he could face. If there's one thing I know, it's that when he's not at work, boy is he missed. I can't tell you how frequently I'm asked, where's Tony? From UPS, FedEx, freight drivers, faculty, and staff. If that's not a testament to how he takes care of people, I don't know what is. People genuinely miss him when he's taking one of his well-earned vacation days or off celebrating his birthday month. Yes, it's Tony's birthday, which is September 27th and 28th. Just ask him about it. I'll ask you about that, Tony. Hint, hint. He likes oatmeal raisin cookies, chocolate, and fried chicken. Now you're probably like, doesn't know. His coworkers describe him as a hoot, a joyful, easygoing, cheerful, fun, humorous, kind, trustworthy, caring, as having a warm and welcoming spirit, compassionate, and always good for a laugh. They also describe him as a professional and personable leader, entertaining, smart, easy to work with, puts others' needs first, loyal, and intentional. Tony and I often talk about how important it is to care. Supposedly you have to pronounce this with a C, like here, but with a C, here, here. A quality Tony radiates. Tony isn't one to go through the motions or view his job as work. He genuinely cares to do his job well and to be the best human he can be. He takes great pride and joy in helping faculty and staff every day, and in all honesty, that's largely what makes him so short-handed and most difficult, having so much on your plate that you feel you're not able to do your job as well as you'd like to. Tony's recognition for this award should reassure him that he's still achieving the level of service he strives for every day, and we are so grateful to the Staff Senate for creating this opportunity. On behalf of Staff Senate, we thank you, Tony, for all that you do for WKU, and congratulations. Good job.
I will give you a call.
Our final winner, Staff Star Award, goes to Beth Gaffer. Beth is the Materials Management Manager here at Service Supply. Okay, so this is from her nominator. Beth has worn multiple hats in her time here at WKU. One of those hats has been the administrator over WKU surplus. She has worked extremely hard to gather surplus equipment and furniture and either reuse on campus, supply needs in the community through her support agencies, or market unneeded items for sale. She partnered with myself and Dr. Joshua Durkee to completely outfit our new disaster science operations center with surplus furniture. This made the project possible and allowed focused spending on needed technology. She truly believes in promoting sustainability in practical ways that add benefit and provide a model for others to follow. I would also like to invite Supervisor Marcy Moorhead to say a few words on her behalf.
When I asked Dr. Jennifer Tugas to describe Beth Gafford, she said she is sunshine, and I agree. She always looks for the positive. She always sees the cup half full even when the wheels are falling off. She's a single mom that manages material management and her 3 kids. She always is friendly, responsible, dependable, and trustworthy. She's a joy to work with. She's incredibly resourceful and has a special lens to see the world. She wants to help everyone and go above and beyond in customer service in her personal and work life. She's the best used car salesman I've ever known. She can sell a used vehicle like nobody else. Departments are surprised by the money she often gets. Plus they're so much higher these days. She's the perfect in dealing with the public and selling surplus. When you work with a community, you get lots of different kinds of people and lots of different circumstances. Sometimes they come with not a big enough truck. Sometimes they show up at the wrong time and they're from out of town. And she handles it with grace and represents WKU very well. So let's talk about Best Lunch. Everyone in our building knows Best Lunch. It's a bowl, it's green, and it's piled with vegetables and salad. And most of the time, you just see it sitting randomly somewhere. We always laugh because if somebody comes in our building, they're all like, "Whose is that?" And we all laugh and go, "That's Best Lunch," because she got too busy, she set it down and went to help somebody else. Thing about Beth, she slept through the tornado, and she lived about half a block from campus. But during tornado recovery time, she drove that big box truck all around town. She hauled toys to different locations for the governor's initiative. She drove a truck to help relocate displaced families, and then she helped physically put their beds together. She moved desks, tons of shelving, and filing cabinets for the FEMA staff at the Greenwood Mall to get it set up so they could assist our community. She covered for Tommy, which he acts like it's easy, but it is not. And she organized efforts to try to help him. We know we can count on her to jump in when she needed to get the job done. She never looks at a job that's not my job. It's our job to get the job done. Beth, I'm thankful for your qualities and what you bring to WKU, and it's a pleasure and an honor to work with you, and your work is appreciated. But I wanted to say, because Tony and Beth both work for me, they are my dream team. They're like brothers and sisters, so they both get frustrated with one another. They respect one another, and they're completely different. But they love each other. They're peanut butter and jelly. I get them, and I'm thankful for their hard work and support during good and tough times. And you guys make WKU a better place.
All right. Next on our agenda, we have the reports of officers, committee, and our staff region. So we will begin with Region Brinkley.
So we've got a meeting this week on Friday. It's a follow-up. If you follow the pattern, we had many meetings, and this will be the follow-up for that. It's a full board meeting. In that meeting, the committees will be divided as they usually are. Subparts, academic affairs has some approval items. The first one is the academic program suspension for strategic sport communication graduate certificate. That was unanimously approved in committee. I don't see any problem there. There are 12 applications for sabbatical for faculty. I don't know of any reason any of those won't be approved. There was no discussion that was detrimental in that meeting. There will be an approval of a university distinguished professor, and that'll be Dr. Keith Phillips for biology. There'll also be presenting an informational item in that meeting. We think that will go through just fine. And also there are some maritime recommendations, one for Dr. Sam Evans from College of Education, another from Dr. John Moore in College of Education. No, sorry, Professor of Teacher Education. And then Mr. Rico Tyler, that's the third one. We don't think any of those will have any issues. They normally do not. Finance and Budget Committee, there are personnel actions. You'll see some of those. A lot of those have to do with the January 2% across the board. There are some one-times, but that's customary. There's nothing that flags for either the faculty, region, or myself in that list. There'll be an approval of budget versus actual. That's something that Shane and I, faculty, region, and I met with Susan on a while back. There's been no material changes to that and no reason for us to have any additional discussion. There are two audits that are going to be presented. They are customary audits. They happen annually. One is for my department, public media, and the other is for the athletics department. They have different, there are procedures that both of us have to go through related to grants or NCAA participation. These audits happen annually. I did not meet with Susan. These were not presented in the committee meetings. I opted out of the meeting that she allows for Shane and I prior to each board meeting, because I didn't really have any questions. And if anybody else had any questions, that I would have a conflict sitting in there. So I don't anticipate any trouble with either of those. I've read through and had no issues with either audit. In student affairs, there'll be there'll be an admissions policy that wasn't presented to committee, and there'll be a student conduct policy. I've read through those. If you all read through them, they're public. You can read through any of these things. If you have any questions or concerns about procedures related to that, feel free to let me know, and I'll get it addressed before the meeting. Let's see. There's some information items that are typical related to student affairs. And then in the executive committee, it'll be a fun day. We don't really have any action items, but we do have Title IX update from Andrew Anderson, University Council. There'll be an athletic academic progress report from the athletic director, Todd Stewart. There'll be a legislative update from Jennifer Brewatt-Smith. That's always a fun time to hear what challenges are being put upon us, if any, from the legislature. And then there'll be a mission statement review with Dr. Beth Laves and President Bone. There will be an executive closed session. These aren't unusual. We have those anytime that we have to have a discussion related to pending litigation. There are, as many of you all know, a couple of active suits and sometimes the lawsuits, sometimes there are pending lawsuits that will be made aware of. That is a customary meeting we have a couple of different times a year. This is a good time of the year to have that. So I can't discuss anything out of that, but I don't anticipate there's any big surprises there. As always, if you all have any questions, you can reach out to me anonymously at wkustaffregion@gmail.com. And I'm happy to answer any questions here on the floor today. Perfect. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Next up, we have Communications Center Vincent.
No updates.
Next is Technology Center Gilbert. Next, Secretary Senator Johnson.
No report.
And next, Vice Chair Basham.
Morning. First off, Anthony, appreciate your work to let me join via Zoom today. It is very helpful for me, so thank you. The only real note is that we'll have an announcement come out this month about the next staff senate election. So in the meantime, I hope folks that are joining us via YouTube, or if there are any guests in the room today, might consider how they can help improve WKU through service on the staff senate. This is my third year on the Senate, and it has been a great deal of, it's been a great growth opportunity for me. If you're unsure about what the Senate is, take a look back at our YouTube channel, and you can catch every meeting we've had for the last couple of years. Talk to your coworkers, and nomination info will come out soon. And then our workforce committee will have a upcoming meeting this month. That invitation's out, folks. If take a look at your email later after the meeting. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jordan. Next up is the chair report. So I have just a handful of things. The Staff Excellence Award Review Committee, we met for the first time this week, and thankful for Regent Brinkley stepping up and helping chair that committee this year. Having served on it last year, he's got good experience with it, and so he's going to help make sure that we stay on track. Pleased to say we had over 100 nominations for the Staff Excellence Awards, so that is great. Really thankful for all of those people who took the time to recognize the work of another staff member on campus, and also thankful for those who were nominated for their hard work. So really look forward to reviewing those. I expect that to be a very uplifting process and very encouraging. So look forward to reviewing those and being able to make selections. Also, a reminder, our Staff Senate Satisfaction Survey that we do each year, that is live. There's a staff email that went out with a link to that survey. I really highly encourage everyone to participate in that if you're a staff member at WKU. So far, Dr. Birch reached out to me this past week and let me know we have had already 225 responses to that survey, which is about halfway there. So the deadline to submit so that we can get results back in time to get it to the correct people and allow them to analyze the data. That deadline is March 24th. And so we'll send out a few more reminders, but please do, if you have not done so already, share your feedback. It is a great gauge of kind of the climate on campus for staff, and it's become a very respected survey because of its consistency. So we've added a couple of extra questions in there this year. One of them is asking about different ways that the university can work to foster a sense of community and boost morale on campus. And so really look forward to the comments that we get through there that might be able to spark some ideas of different things that we can do to just continue making this a place that everyone wants to be. So please do respond to that survey. In Budget Executive Committee, we have wrapped up our initial review of the budget proposals that were sent up through divisions across campus. So we had several, I believe that there were 38 or 39 total different itemized budget requests that were made. And so we did our best. We scored those, ranked those, met as a group, and have sent our recommendations up to executive leadership. And those units that did submit budget proposals, once those are approved and those final decisions are made on that, they will be notified whether or not that request was funded. And so they should receive a communication once that occurs. So be on the lookout for that. One of the next things up in Budget Executive Committee is the discussion of potential salary pools for next year as part of the budget. It's again our hope, it's my hope, that we'll see at least a 2% salary pool exist in the budget again in the upcoming fiscal year. We'll have further discussions to see if there's any other potential in the budget to increase that in any way. So this year, of course, we are able to do a 2% across the board. So future discussions in BEC will be about what is that salary pool amount, and then even more in the future, how will that be distributed? So we've received very good updates from EVP Howard and others on campus about enrollment expectations and how that affects the budget. And there are several moving pieces, but doing good work there. And I look forward to having those conversations in BEC. Also, you probably saw President Caboni's announcement. Did you? President Caboni's announcement about summer hours returning again this summer. I know I'm very appreciative of that, so I hope all of you look forward to being able to take advantage of that if it's possible for you in your area. So again, I encourage you to look back at that email, have conversations with your supervisor about the possibility for some flexibility in your schedule this summer. So do take advantage of that. Also, I hope you have spring break plans, because this year, just a reminder, coming up in just a couple of weeks for the first time, we'll have 3 days off at spring break. So I know I'm very excited. I hope that that serves as a good opportunity for staff to take a break, take a step back and a deep breath, and give us a kind of leaping off point to finish the semester strong. So really look forward to having that time off this year, and thankful that we have that. The last reminder that I have is just to reiterate what Jordan Basham said about Staff Senate and running for Staff Senate. I just really want to encourage people. We're going to have our elections coming up here shortly, so there'll be announcements coming out about that. Please come and talk to any of the staff senators in the room. Come ask us questions. What's it like to be on Senate? What opportunities exist? What doors open up by being on Senate? Really encourage people to take the opportunity and run for Senate. It gives you the chance to really interact with a lot of people across campus and get to have a seat at the table in a lot of really important discussions that affect all of us. So really strongly encourage you, if you're at all thinking about it, reach out, ask questions, and please, you can still nominate yourself to run for Staff Senate too. But if there's anyone you think is a good fit, talk to them about that and encourage them to run for Senate. That is the end of my report. Next on our agenda is old business. We did not have any. Is there any old business that was not on the agenda? All right. Any new business that needs to come before?
Real quick, since you mentioned the Staff Senate election, the seat that I'm in, I have one more academic year after this year, and that seat will be open. I am not eligible, nor would I seek re-election if I was. Two terms, it's quite enough. It's an honor. So at the end of the next academic year, the staff regent seat will be open.
Thank you for that. And thank you for your service.
Don't thank me yet.
Next is the section of our meeting that is reserved for public comment. So this is a time frame where anybody, senator or not, if they have something that they would like to share, stand up and speak for the betterment of staff and Staff Senate, you're welcome to take the podium and do so. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment during this time?
Just like to share, I attended the WKU HR supervisor training this last session, and I found it was some great information. The training was awesome. And so I encourage anyone that is a supervisor, I think she said she'll have it reopened in fall, to definitely apply for it. It was 2 days from like 9 to 4 on a Thursday, and there was a lot of great information. I know a lot of times senators, we get this information saying there's no training, but you gotta participate as well. And there was some great information. So I appreciate HR putting that on. And they are looking at some other training as well for office associates and coordinators. They did want to start with the supervisors at first because they want to make sure our leaders are teaching and learning the employees. But I definitely encourage you guys to sign up for that, in the fall when it opens up.
Thank you.
I echo Tanya's comments. Thank you.
Yeah, it was good.
When we in this room or this as staff say HR is or isn't doing something, this is an example of them doing something. As an example of many.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
I wanted to make just a reminder also about the other catharsis training that Molly and Michael sent out, I think yesterday.
So
If you haven't registered for that, please register for that opportunity. There's another free training opportunity through HR and DEI.
There was a public comment that was given yesterday as that something that we can
You're welcome to, sure.
The person didn't ask for a reply, but it says thank you for our service. But is there any way to get a change in how some departments give extra work to staff when they say there is not any money in the budget to hire extra staff or replace someone that leaves? This can be very demanding to anyone, especially to exempt staff who do not get any overtime pay. Could there be a policy put in place to protect staff from additional workload or extended hours per day? And I know that's something that's come up a lot, and I don't know what the answer is. And since they said that about policy, I don't think that we're the right body for that, but is that something that they would need to take to HR or?
I would encourage HR as a point of contact for that. I would. Also having both Susan and Andrea be present in our next meeting, I think that that's a good point of conversation. I think that we sometimes will see that one also come up where maybe staff members feel like they would really benefit and have time off to take, but sometimes feel like it's difficult to take time off because of workload and what may get missed if they're gone. I know that's something that we've discussed as staff senate that's kind of been raised up as an issue sometimes, and how we foster that ability and feeling and sense that yes, you should still, it is part of your benefits package. You should be able to take your time off. So I think that those are kind of part of that same conversation about workload and supervisors being mindful of that workload. So I think that one's, when I read that, I immediately thought this is a great point of discussion. And I hope that if it didn't get submitted as a question on our anonymous questions, it would be one that we should lift up next month. Yeah.
And there is a policy, when I read that question, there is a policy directly related to that. There's a policy for everything, generally, in HR, and there's a policy, I'm quite clear, having exempt and non-exempt staff, there is a policy directly related to that. So my recommendation is that person goes to their supervisor first, and then the next supervisor, but HR would be a great place to respond to that as well.
I will mention too, there was another comment that we had received a couple of weeks ago that was related to the parental leave policy. And so I did reach out to Andrea on that, not maybe one that she comments on as well, because that's one that is just constantly reviewed among many of our kind of benefits that we have here. One of those is that paid parental leave or paid family leave policy that we have that allows, it's up to 12 weeks that people can take for birth of a child, adoption, and there are a couple other reasons listed in that policy. And that individual is just expressing when a staff member happens to also be married to another staff member at the university, they have to split that 12 weeks of time. And so if that was just an expression of, should that be the case or not? How was that decided? And so I took that to Andrea and she did comment back, and it's one that it's on their radar that they hear about as well, to take a look at. But I will say, at least I do think on that one, and I would agree with Andrea in her response, is that at that time that policy was instituted, that was a proud moment for WKU, being at least ahead of the curve compared to many other institutions in the state. And I do believe there are still some that don't have a policy that looks like this. So I'm grateful that we at least have the 12 weeks. I personally got to experience this myself with the birth of my son, where my wife took 10 and I had 2. Of course, I wish I'd had more, but I will say I'm at least thankful for that. But it's a good moment to just honor that staff member who expressed that concern, that they felt like maybe they were not able to have it. So that's one that is another good point for discussion, and just to see always if there is room to adjust policies like that, that we talk about that. So. Great. Any other things in the realm of public comment? Wonderful.
There's another email about the compensation study that makes to where we're at.
I think that one will probably be answered. The only reason I didn't comment on that one will probably be answered in next month's meeting with presentations from HR and Susan. So Next is just the general announcements and notable events that appear at the bottom of our agenda. So we have the Staff Senate Executive Committee meeting next week on March 7th at 10 a.m. via Zoom. And then next month, our schedule is a little bit different to try to be mindful of those that might have local school spring break periods. And so do note that instead of being that first Wednesday of the month, we actually are meeting on April 12th at 10 a.m. here in DSU 2081 in the Senate chambers. And mentioned it a couple times, but EVP Howard and AVP Cheryl from HR will be here to present to us on issues related to human resources, compensation analysis, compensation study, and be able to give us an update on where those things stand. So we will send out, like we do with other guest speakers, we will send out an anonymous survey that's just open-ended and allows people to submit their questions and comments that they would like to be considered and heard by our presenters ahead of their speaking with us. So I encourage people when that comes out, please do submit your questions. A couple of those today I mentioned, those are great questions that I may not be able to fully provide an answer for up here, but might be great questions that could be addressed in that next meeting and discussed and explained. So are there any other announcements? Great. Well, with that, we will consider